There's like mini YouTube documentaries about your city and how it's like a big scam.
Right.
Do you care about the naysayers?
No,
you know the truth?
I don't care about that, because in the end, when the city's actually up, they're gonna feel like assholes.
In 2020, Akon flew to Senegal, laid a foundation stone, and promised a $6 billion city of the future. Skyscrapers, a tech district, hospitals, resorts, film studios, schools, the Dubai of Africa. But today, the city looks like this. The government set aside land, investors lined up, and the media called it visionary. But the deeper you looked, the worse it got. A crypto freefall, refund complaints, missed payments, shifting deadlines, and almost no construction on the ground. After years of promises, officials finally said, enough is enough. Families gave up land, jobs were promised that never came, and the city became a symbol of hype, hope, and how fast both can evaporate. This isn't just a failed project, it's a playbook. A major celebrity promise, opaque funding, moving goalposts, and then silence. A major project that had promise after promise made and ultimately nothing delivered. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Akon City to see what exactly happened, where everything started to go wrong, and where everything goes from here, so that you can decide for yourself whether or not you think this project was a scam. This is the story of Akon City.
Directors, filmmakers, entertainers, it's going to be your job to redefine how people think about Africa.
As an African, I always wanted to be in a position where I can come back and give back and be able to use my celebrity, use my success in a way where I can help people.
The rapper and entrepreneur has tweeted that he has finalized the agreement for the new city, which will be named as Akon City.
You know, it's the biggest opportunity in front of us, and the potential here is just immense.
Akon is Akon.
Before Akon became a would-be city builder, he was one of the biggest stars in the music industry. He was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and raised between the U.S. and Senegal.
Born in Senegal?
I was born in Senegal.
You were born
in St. Louis.
Oh, St. Louis, that's
in
right.
St. Louis, but then I was raised in Senegal. Well, I was in Senegal from birth. We was born in Senegal, in St. Louis, shipped to Senegal. Then when I was about 7 or 8, that's when my mom and pop brought us back to the States to go to school, and every summer we would go back to Senegal.
He burst onto the scene in the mid-2000s with a sound that blended R&B, hip-hop, and global influences. His debut single, Locked Up in 2004, was a breakout hit, followed by multi-platinum albums like Trouble and Convicted. At his peak, Akon was everywhere, collaborating with artists from Eminem to Michael Jackson and topping charts in over a dozen countries and selling millions of records. But Akon was more than just a singer. He was a producer, an entrepreneur, and a master networker.
Are you more of an artist or a businessman these days?
These days, definitely more of a businessman. Yeah, for sure.
Behind the scenes, he invested in music labels, talent development, and even early tech ventures. By the early 2010s, his net worth was estimated in the tens of millions of dollars. And while most celebrities his size stayed in the entertainment bubble, Akon had something bigger in mind. He wanted to leverage his fame and fortune to make real change, especially in Africa, where he spent much of his childhood. Which brings us to 2014, when Akon decided to launch his most ambitious project yet. Not a song, not an album, but a continent-wide energy revolution. A project that he called Lighting Africa.
Ultimately, the whole reason why we chose electrification for the Akon Lighting Africa project is to create an avenue to start building infrastructure. As you know, without infrastructure, you can't, without lighting, there's no way you can start to build infrastructure with no energy.
In 2014, he launched his project, Akon Lighting Africa. The idea was simple. If the power grid wasn't big enough to reach these towns and villages in Africa, then somebody needed to build a new grid. These places needed light, so markets didn't have to shut down at night, and kids could study after sunset, and doors could open for more infrastructure in the future, and the whole thing moved fast. In the first year, Akon expanded the project to over 14 countries in Africa. And according to the Borgen Project, by 2016, he had installed over 1 million solar power streetlights plus 1,200 microgrids and created over 5,000 jobs. 28 million people. That's how many people were impacted by his efforts.
The biggest impact definitely is in rural areas. Just imagine bringing people from the darkness into the light. Some areas people had never seen light in the nighttime at all. So the look on their faces is just, I mean, you know, it's words you can't really describe. You almost have to be there to kind of see the kind of impact that brings. There's really no way to describe it unless you're there.
To get his foot in the door, Akon deployed a political strategy. He targeted countries with upcoming elections, let the leader pick the villages they thought needed it the most, and Akon would install solar systems for free. This boosted the politicians' public image right when they needed it the most and gave free lights to select communities, allowing Akon to put his plan into motion with little resistance, getting him into Africa's infrastructure at a utility level. At a Coca-Cola conference in 2015, Akon spoke on this a little bit, saying that everything is based on today. So I hate to say it as an African, but I kind of used this to my advantage to get the contracts. Once he had the contract secured, things did become easier because, quote, it came to a point that once a village was lit up, the neighboring villages would bring pressure to the government and ask why they don't have the same thing. But how did Akon have the money to do this? We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars spent on development. Well, the answer is simple: loans from China.
You had like $1 billion line with China?
Yeah, it was a $1 billion credit line from China. But when Bush was in power, Bush created a 200% tax on all solar or all solar related and renewable energy coming into America. And mainly he did it because he had his agenda was in the oil. He needed the oil to keep burning, right? So anything renewable, he wanted to keep away because it affected the money, the business. So he created a 200% tax on all solar coming from China into America. So all that investment, those billions of dollars of investment that China put into this, and they couldn't use it, was just sitting in factories and sitting in China, couldn't be used. So I took advantage of that and went down to China and to partner with some of those companies that couldn't use all that, you know, investment that they already put for Europe and America. And I asked them to be able to apply that into Africa. So they gave me $1 billion credit line to start my project. And that's how it all started.
Akon wasn't paying for all of this out of pocket. The backbone of Akon Lighting Africa was funding that came from a line of credit reportedly worth up to $1 billion, secured from a Chinese state-linked construction group called Jiangsu International. Here's how it worked. China's industrial giants had the manufacturing power to produce solar panels, batteries, and street lamps, and they also had a growing appetite for infrastructure loans in Africa. Governments didn't need to pay up front, as these loans could be repaid over time, often with interest rates and repayment terms that are negotiated behind closed doors. To supporters, it was smart financing. Africa got the equipment and expertise it needed right away, and China got new trade partners. To critics, this was nothing more than debt trap diplomacy, which is a way for China to gain political leverage when smaller nations inevitably struggled to pay back the loans.
In the past 2 decades, China has built large infrastructure projects in almost every country in Africa.
China and Africa can forge an even stronger, comprehensive strategic and cooperative partnership.
A common portrayal of China's lending practices is known as debt trap diplomacy. The so-called debt trap is created when a country lends to poorer countries, intentionally overwhelming them with unsustainable debt, forcing them to surrender strategic assets or concede increased political leverage. China is currently involved in an estimated 35 African countries and has made significant contributions to their infrastructure, including ports, railways, and power plants. In one report which analyzed 100 Chinese contracts, it revealed that the loans are structured to give an advantage over other creditors and allows action to be taken if the borrower acts contrary to the interests of a People's Republic of China entity. There are also unusual clauses that shroud agreements in secrecy.
Now, a lot of people have called the Chinese debt trap a myth, suggesting that the terms of the loans that they give to these developing nations are nothing more than just standard loan contracts. But whatever side you're on, one thing is clear: it worked for Akon. By 2020, the brand Akon Lighting Africa carried real weight. And he's defended his decision to accept this line of credit from China throughout the years, saying that he believes that China has done more for Africa than anybody else ever has.
You've always said that China has done more for Africa than any other country.
I mean, it's true. That's not something anybody can argue with.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they came, they laid down infrastructure. They actually did something that The European countries been around for 400 years and did nothing. That's why if you see Africa now hasn't been developed. This was the responsibility of France, Great Britain, Italy, Germany. These guys have been in Africa forever and it's never been developed. China just started putting interest in Africa. Now you have roads, roundabouts, like they're actually putting structure down.
All of this combined, the partnerships, the cooperation of local governments, the actual work put in, made the next leap feel believable. If Akon could light entire regions in a matter of years, what was stopping him from building an entire city from scratch? That was the pitch. In 2018, Akon announced what he called his most ambitious project yet, Akon City, a $6 billion eco-friendly high-tech metropolis to be built on 2,000 acres of coastal land in Senegal.
We're looking at Akon City as to become the beginning of Africa's future. Directors, filmmakers, entertainers, it's going to be your job to redefine how people think about Africa. As an African, I always wanted to be in a position where I can come back and give back and be able to use my celebrity, use my success in a way where I can help people.
The rap and entrepreneur has tweeted that he has finalized the agreement for the new city, which will be named as Akon City.
And a city like Akon City is not only going to make the continent advance, but it's also going to advance the mentality of the people living there, which is a huge problem, because it will completely change the dynamic of how the financial system itself works. Because the moment Africans wake up and understand the power and the resources that we hold and the value that we are to the rest of the world, then clearly decisions will be made in favor of Africans.
Akon City. It was marketed as the real-life Wakanda, inspired by Marvel's fictional kingdom in their movie Black Panther, and the plan was bold. The city was meant to have 5 districts: an African village that was to include waterfront homes and a resort for tourists, the entertainment district where you could spend your leisure time. This section of the city was meant to include a multi-purpose stadium for different events, a casino, and another resort, the tech district, which Akon wanted to position as the Silicon Valley of Africa, and the health and safety district, which was meant to have a police station, fire department, hospital, and more. It was a full-blown city, or at least that was the plan, but almost as soon as it was announced, people started noticing a few oddities, like how the buildings looked nothing like any other modern architecture that we see in the world, or how it was all CGI, not actual plans or blueprints. And from the very beginning, people were questioning what it was that they were looking at.
All of his design documents were the most outlandish load of hogwash I've ever seen. So here's the entertainment district. What are these? These aren't even buildings. This looks like when you go into Roller Coaster Tycoon and fuck up the terrain. It's even bad CG. Yeah. It's melted. Yeah, I guess their chief architect is Salvador Dali. The tech district? What does this mean? Tech 003421? What tech what? What is the tech? What are they doing here? Lex Luthor live here or something? Butt Plug City. Yeah. This is the police station here. They inhabit this pack of hot dogs. Here's the fire department, which is conveniently placed in the worst possible position for them to get anywhere, because they're gonna have to navigate this minefield, this fucking labyrinth. Good luck having a quick response time from the firefighters. Osmosis Jones type landscape. Bro modeled the city from the mitochondria. Oh, here, Akon Tower. He's even got his own, Avengers building. So this is where Akon lives, and only Akon.
Akon had made good strides in the past, though, and his Lighting Africa project was phenomenal, so that drowned out any doubt that people had, and for the most part, people believed him, or at least the people that mattered did. The government in Senegal had faith and decided to back the project 100%, putting aside roughly 2,000 acres for Akon to build his city on, land that the government was supposed to purchase from locals.
The president of Senegal gave you 3 square miles of land.
Well, this is the thing. I had to actually buy the land.
Okay.
So it wasn't gifted to me. But what the president and the government are doing, they're actually laying the foundation for all the infrastructure on the land, like the basic sewage, electricity, things like that. All the things that have to be set forth for me to build the city on top of.
Okay.
And they're giving me 100% full, support.
On top of that, because he utilized his Chinese credit line of $1 billion and was having success paying it back, he was able to go back to these lenders and ask for more money to help him continue development, and was able to successfully secure another $5 billion in order to make it all happen.
All right, you spent it all yet, or you got a few M's left?
Yeah,
over?
we're asking for $5 billion now. We did a lot of work, man. We got to keep moving.
With the funding secured and the government giving the green light, Akon was allowed to start moving forward, but problems did begin to arise. For example, the land that Akon was going to use was purchased in tandem with the company called Sapco, who was going to develop the land. But shortly after it was all announced, the people who sold the land to Sapco and Akon started complaining that they hadn't yet been compensated for the land, casting a shadow over the entire thing. Akon said that they were sorting it out and was adamant that the project would continue, even putting a date on it, saying that phase 1 would be done by 2024, and then saying that by 2026 people would be able to visit, and that phase 5 and 6 would be finished around 2030.
When are they saying this is going to actually launch?
We actually start construction in January. We start construction in January.
Okay, I guess
so
it was a $6 billion consortium.
Yes, a $6 billion project. Damn. Phase 1 starts in January. And it's a 3-year bill for phase 1 and phase 2, 5 years.
So in 18 years. So 18 years total?
No, 10 years total. The full city will be completely finished.
So by 2030?
Oh, by 2030, we'll be building phase 4 and 5.
Okay, so when can I go visit Akon City?
You will be able to go visit Akon City by 2026. Like literally live in it.
Wow.
You can visit before then because the city will be open by 2024.
That's so crazy.
The city will be open by that time.
Then, in August of 2020, Akon flew to Senegal, laid a single foundation stone, and told the world that construction was underway. He also announced that his city would have a new currency, the Akon, a cryptocurrency project that Akon started with the idea of creating something that would be more stable than the Senegalese currency, the CFA, which is a highly volatile currency.
And the whole thing is going to be run off Akon?
That's
the cryptocurrency?
Yeah, the cryptocurrency, Akon. You could say the city's financial infrastructure would be built off the Akon platform.
Yeah. I mean, I've publicly said I'm not a big fan of cryptocurrency myself. I've never invested in it.
That's the thing. A lot of people think that cryptocurrency is something to invest in. That's where you go wrong. That's like investing in the American dollar. You don't invest in the dollar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You use a dollar to invest. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think when people start to understand money itself, they'll understand the value of what cryptocurrency is to tomorrow's future.
Now, this did create a lot of backlash as people started accusing Akon of using this entire Akon City pitch to funnel people into a crypto coin that he owns the majority of, giving him the ability to dump all of his tokens and sell them, making off with a heavy bag while people that buy in lose money. Basically, the general public seen this as just another celebrity-backed crypto pump and dump scheme, just with a bigger backstory. And it didn't help that Akon would do interviews and say stuff like this.
Okay. How much Akon do you actually own?
I mean, I am the bank.
I bet.
It does seem a bit sketchy, a celebrity creating his own cryptocurrency to power an entire future city, but there is important context here that you need to know in order to understand why this could have worked. In many parts of Africa, money itself can be unstable. Some local currencies swing wildly in value, and inflation can wipe out savings almost overnight. On top of that, in areas without advanced banking infrastructure, carrying large amounts of cash isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. It's a real safety concern. As a solution to this, a lot of people have been using mobile phone minutes as a form of currency. Yes, mobile phone minutes. In Kenya, for example, a service called M-Pesa transformed the way people buy, sell, and store their money. Instead of walking around with cash, users can transfer funds instantly using nothing but a basic cell phone, paying for groceries, school fees, or even rent without ever touching a banknote. Kind of like Cash App would work in America, except instead of actual money, they're using mobile minutes. In many parts of Africa, they've been doing this for years. The exact concept, a digital currency replacing unstable cash that Akon wanted to replicate. But instead of using an existing system like M-Pesa, He wanted to build his own from scratch and make it the official currency of his city. Now, I hear about a lot of crypto projects and none of them really make me say, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But in this specific case, you could see how this could be utilized efficiently.
Akon is built specifically on mobile minutes. So we transfer your mobile minutes into currency that can be spent on the market. So let me explain that, because I know you're confused. So basically, the currencies in certain parts of Africa are so untrusted that people are utilizing their mobile minutes to purchase at the local market. So instead of giving them the real, like the currency, the local currency, they would just transfer minutes. So we decided to create Akon to facilitate that transaction.
When it launched in late 2020, there was genuine excitement about Akon. By February of 2021, the price of Akon peaked at around 58 cents per coin, but within months, it started to slide down to pennies, then fractions of a penny, wiping out over 99% of its value, and that's where the trouble really started. That, coupled with the fact that before the coin even went public, Akon's team ran a pre-sale for what they called the Token of Appreciation program, where supporters were promised 4 Akon tokens for every dollar that they contributed. It was marketed like it was a donation that would be converted into Akon once the currency launched. When the price collapsed, that Token of Appreciation became a token of frustration. People started asking for refunds. The Akon team said that they could get one, and some were even put on an official refund list. They were told to send in their mailing addresses, and then nothing. Weeks turned into months, and months turned into years. And as far as anybody can tell, nobody was really ever refunded.
Akon is Akon. Him and his team went out to do a project to be able to help and assist small entrepreneur businesses in Africa, and we're requesting people to come on board this journey in doing this project to help Africa. Now, myself and many people joined on board because why not help people who really don't have much, but yet you want to see them flourish just like you might see yourself or others. In exchange for people's donations, they would get a TOA, Token of Appreciation. This would convert over into an Akon as the time goes on. But apparently, according to maybe the SEC, they were not legitimately able to do such a thing. If you do not want to go further with this project due to the fact that it was illegitimate promise that they had made that is illegal, that you can go ahead, put your name in a hat, and go ahead and get your refund. Well, of course, myself and other people have done such a thing, and they have failed to return people's money. Being that he is the head of this project, did not fulfill the need. 2 years go by and still nothing. Now, I'm sad to report such information because Akon had appeared that he was doing a good job, but it seems though that he is just like most who would want to use Africa only for his own benefit.
People were not happy about this, and when Akon was confronted about it, he claimed that he had never heard of any refund problems and that everybody who was promised a refund got their refund, and even went as far as to say that if there was somebody that was left out that he was unaware of, he would pay them back, even if he had to go into his own pocket.
We'll be aware that there was a project that started before the release of Akon as a cryptocurrency.
Yes.
It was called Tokens of Appreciation. And in that project, there were people who sent money in, people who wanted to back your campaign and wanted to see the cryptocurrency project take off. Mm-hmm. And later there were delays with Akon City and with Akon. And those people were offered refunds. Now, I've spoken to a number of those TOA or Token of Appreciation holders, and a year ago they were promised refunds and they haven't received them yet. That was for people who chose that they wanted to stick with the project. Some people were offered a chance, if you wanted a refund now, you could leave. And they said, we would like to leave. We've put in hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, and we don't believe in the project anymore. And for those people, they asked for that money last year in 2021, and they've still not received it in 2022. Were you aware of that?
Now that I wasn't aware, because I know all the people that I knew that was on record. We definitely met with everybody, and this was
the agreement that was actually agreed on. So if there was anyone outside of that, I definitely wasn't aware.
And those people who asked for their money back and were expecting it a year ago, when will they receive their money?
Well, that I'm just literally on everything finding out. So I'm gonna definitely get more involved and figure out what that's about. But we do have instruments in place to make sure those people are happy, even if I gotta go in my own pocket.
Needless to say, nobody ever came out saying that Akon went in his own pocket to pay them back. By this point, the Acoin had dropped to less than a third of a penny and quietly vanished from all major exchanges, making it essentially worthless as nobody can buy it or sell it. Not only that, but during this entire period, no construction was happening on the ground. This single brick was the only thing that was there for years, which at this point had become more of a symbol of just how little progress was actually being made, especially when you remember Akon saying that phase 1 was going to be done by 2024. Today, there have been a few things added other than this block. For example, there's this half-built structure on the property that looks somewhat similar to what the original sketches showed, but it's still a long way away from what was promised. There's even a video showing the inside of the building with the spiral staircase that looks like the bones of something that could be cool, but just not in its current unfinished state. They've also built one fully modern building that's supposed to be a recreation center for the city, but that's it. Nothing else has been put up. On top of that, villagers who sold this land to Akon and Sapco claim that they still haven't been compensated. The president of Senegal said in an interview, "My problem concerning the land is not with Akon. My problem is concerning Sapco, who took the land from the villagers." Sapco deflected back to Akon, saying that they hadn't received any money from him yet, and even sent a formal notice stating that if he didn't start making payments and get construction going soon, that their contract would be terminated. In July of 2025, that's exactly what happened. Sapco announced that the Akon City project no longer existed, and when asked, one resident summed it up saying, "We were promised jobs and development, and instead, nothing has changed." The state has reclaimed the land from Akon after several missed payments, and control has been given back to Sapco, which now intends to develop the area into a tourism hub with hotels, apartments, condos, a marina, and a promenade connected to a nearby lagoon. But the vision for Akon City isn't completely lost, as Sapco said that they've reached an agreement with Akon where he will retain 20 acres of land, and together they'll work on a project that's more quote-unquote realistic. This has led to Akon going on a press run, still claiming that Akon City is coming.
Recently, there was some news that essentially Senegal is abandoning Akon City.
Right.
Is that true?
That was the news.
What's the reality?
The reality is that Akon City is still happening.
Still gonna happen.
It's 100% happening.
100% gonna happen.
100% happening.
What year?
I can't tell you the year because it's a city, but it's a development that's gonna happen for as long as it possibly can, and I'm gonna try to stretch it out for as many acres as I possibly can as I'm alive, and hope that it continues to stretch even after I'm dead.
So as you can see, he still claims that Akon City is in fact coming. And when he's confronted and asked why would there be news that Akon City was canceled if it's still gonna come, he says that it's all propaganda, that he's being attacked by the oligarchs in Africa and people who don't want to see him succeed.
Why are they reporting though that it's scrapped and they're taking the land back?
It's all propaganda. A project of mine that's that ambitious, that they say is too ambitious, and it needs to be dumbed down to some condominiums. It's some bullshit. Akon City is under attack at the moment.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot of big powers, oligarchs, you know, the people that move the continent, the West. They were successful shutting down Akon because of what that was going to do, but that was more of a public perception.
You create your own currency?
Yeah. Their goal is to make sure that that project has enough credibility missing from it that it don't move until they can kind of find a way to control the situation. The mistake I made was announcing it before I got started. Because once I announced it, people thought it already existed. What I didn't calculate was
The moment I announced it, people thought this shit was already existed.
What would you say to the people who have been making videos in the past couple of weeks about the Akon City thing, like who basically trying to, you know, discredit it? Like, what would be your message to them in terms of what they're getting wrong?
No, they're not getting anything wrong. It's cool because in time, it's all gonna come out anyway. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to all blow over. People going to forget. And while they forgetting, the work's still going on.
Whether Akon City ever happens or not, the hype, the delays, and the missed promises have already cemented it as one of the most controversial celebrity projects in recent history. On one hand, you have a man who brought light to millions of people through Akon Lighting Africa, which was proof that he can deliver real impact. And on the other hand, you have a futuristic, real-life Wakanda that so far exists only in renderings and press statements. Maybe Akon truly believes he can still make it happen, and maybe his intentions are good. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, but maybe the critics are right and it was always destined to fail. What do you think? Was Akon City just a dream too big to pull off, or was it always meant to be a scam?